Gentlemen, I have been as critical of Major League Baseball as anybody, and Pete's been here to hear it in all the various discussions that we've had. But I got to tell you something. All the rules worked. Every change they made has worked. The game is better. And I think the point made in that conversation was great. People can now go to a Major League Baseball game and they don't have to worry about dying of boredom at a game anymore. 2 hours and 30 minutes. And that's a great point, too. They're shorter than college football games these days. They're loaded with excitement. The players are good. There's young players in there. Attendance is up. The beers still suck for the prices where you have to go pay, and the parking sucks as well. But putting all that aside, baseball is right now in a renaissance. And I think it's time we finally gave them their chops. What do you think, George?
Agree for the most part. I will. By the way, I think that college football should get a pitch clock as well, or do something. Those games last way too long, but I digest, as one comedian said, in one of his deals. I love the rule changes that are going on during the season. I really like the pitch clock. It's forcing the action. The stolen bases, obviously, stolen bases there's going to be records set all over the place because part of what's going on now, it's so much harder to hold runners to the bag, so you can't keep throwing over there. So the stolen bases are going to skyrocket. Little tweak there. If we go to the All-Star game, I mean, they still were down about 7%, I believe, in viewership. And I didn't like the generic uniforms. I could have done without that.
Oh, the
And
uniforms
also,
were awful.
yeah, and
Awful.
they did away with the traditional introductions, which again, I'm the get off my lawn guy, as you guys might be as well. But and so I really wasn't happy with that, with the All Star game dynamics. But to your greater point, yes, big
That,
kudos for what's going on during the regular season.
and there's that thing, Pete, as I said at the top. Is Rob Manfred now actually a baseball guy? I say it completely tongue in cheek because the guy's made a spitload of mistakes, but he's still the commissioner. The changes still were made, and the game is better. I think we got to give him credit as much as
Yeah,
I can't
well,
believe
I
I'm saying
agree
that out
with you.
loud.
Overall, I agree with what you're saying. You got to give him credit. I mean, also there's a lot of parity now. Everybody's still in it. The new the actual wild card team. You look at the American League East. My beloved Red Sox they're only a game behind the Yankees. They're only two behind Toronto for the last spot. Everybody, for the most part, on the whole, is still in it. But I look at this. Batting average on balls in play. I wrote about this today on our webpage at ESPN SWFL. The batting average on balls in play is 297 this season. That's 7 points higher than it was last year. That may not seem like a big deal, but it kind of is a big deal. And last year at 290, the batting average of balls in play, lowest in a single season since 1992. And overall, batting average is up for everybody at 248 this year. Again, you say that still sucks sort of, but it's up from 242 at this point last season, and was 240 back in 2021. That was the lowest it's been since it was 233 in 1968. So I do think I love the new rules, especially the pitch clock. The average games are 2 hours and 38 minutes as opposed to 3 hours and 10 minutes. As far as college football goes, that's never going to change. It's going to be It's too many commercials, 3.5 hours, depending on what network you are and what game you're watching. You got to invest 3.5 hours. I got no problem with it. I love college football. I wish it lasted all day.
But here's the thing about baseball, though. If we look at it, yes, it's better. But I get it. Attendance is up almost 8%. Is it going to be enough to keep baseball moving forward and to create that new renaissance? Because let's face it, NFL, college football are still kings no matter how you slice it. The NBA still has a built-in audience. The NHL has actually gotten better. Major League Soccer still does good with what it is. But Major League Baseball, in my mind, will never be the American pastime again. That's done, that's over, that's put away. But can they challenge to be good again and to be one of, let's say, the top two, right behind Major League, right behind the NFL and college football? I still don't know if the younger generation will buy it.
No, Rob Manfred still, the part about the marketing is still horrible. And again, I say it time and time again. I say it on my radio show. I've been saying it for years. If Mike Trout walked down the street in 99.9% of the country, nobody would know who he was. Aaron Judge, you probably know. Maybe even Shohei Ohtani, you might know. But one of the best players in the game, if you walk down the street in most communities, people will just say, hello, how are you, and move on.
Yeah, but what do you do about that? Okay, that's great to say, but then how do you fix that? What is that root?
The All-Star game was a perfect example. They screwed that up royally. Go back to the old school. Wear your own home uniform. Let the American League, since they're playing in Seattle, wear their home uniforms. Let the National League wear the away uniforms. That's how you market. You had to get like this to see on the hat logo who the hell was playing. I know, and most people, I guarantee you that 99% of the country didn't know anybody on the Arizona the Arizona Diamondbacks. And a lot of other players. I mean, it's bad. It was bad marketing all the way around for the
But what is
All-Star
the
game
answer
again.
then to that? Because you and I have talked about it, and George, we've knocked this around as well. But the players themselves do not want to market themselves. If you look at what's happening in baseball, the players have their social media accounts. The teams themselves don't really do a lot of outreach, except maybe a little bit here and there. I don't see it. The RBI program is pretty much dead. Going after Black Americans in the urban cities, that's been pretty much distraught and left aside for a lot of years now. So, because we're not seeing any influx whatsoever of Black Americans into Major League Baseball. So, if you put all that together and the players don't give a shit enough to promote themselves, then how do you market a game like that other than just playing great baseball and having guys like Ohtani and others come out here and captivate people's interests?
Well, it's going to be a challenge for when you talk about, obviously, with college football and the NFL ruling the roost there. Everybody else is chasing, as one of my editors used to say, eyeballs. Everybody's going after eyeballs. And it's not just Major League Baseball. So there's going to be some gimmicky things. I think that NBA playoff, whatever tournament thing is, I think that's one of the dumbest things I've seen in a long time. And again,
Yes.
I'm a school guy, but to me, they're obviously trying to remain relevant in November, December, when football still rules the airwaves. So you've got all these, and we saw what NASCAR did ages ago. They've got the thing now with the stages and the chase and all that they've gone through. So every single sport is trying to evolve and get people to watch in an age where people are less, they've got these little cell phone things going on. So people are not watching, they're not engaging as much. And it's going to be a challenge not only for Major League Baseball, but for all the other sports franchises that are looking to remain relevant.
Well, but if you then take that the next step, let's go the next step then for baseball. What is that next step in the marketing if they've got so much competition sitting out there? They're no longer the American pastime. They screwed that up over the years. They walked away from that, didn't do a good marketing job. Teams aren't doing great marketing now. The players really don't give a shit. They don't want to be bothered. They don't want to do interviews with the media anymore. Let's face it. So then how do you break out of that? Or is the simple answer that there is no breaking out? Guys, learn your place. You're going to be second and third for the rest, maybe fourth for the rest of all time, at least in our lifetimes. And you're not going to get it. Sure, attendance is up, but you were so down for so many years that there's really no rising. Just kind of reach that point and be happy with it.
Well, let's start with the youth of America. I think the MLB, and I think they might have done this once. They should have done it more. It's copy the NFL with a Nickelodeon thing. Get the kids interested. That Nickelodeon thing that they do during the playoffs, where they have it's really a separate broadcast for kids, and they have the slime and all that, but they still do. They make it interesting enough. They explain rules at a young age in the NFL, which you might not know. I think Major League Baseball needs to adapt that kind of thinking. Once a week the national game, do a Nickelodeon type of.
You're not thinking about bringing Peter Puck back, are you?
No, but you saw what Nickelodeon, what the NFL did with Nickelodeon during the playoffs in the Super Bowl. It was pretty cool for young kids. I mean, at least it kept them interested. I think it's a way to at least get young kids interested or back interested in the game. You go to these stadiums, and I'm telling you, we talked about this the other day, Ed. Keeping score is a lost art. These kids, when they go to the game, on the whole, they're on their iPhones, they're on iPads, they're in the bouncy houses in the left field and right field, they're in the swimming pools. The game is like secondary. I feel bad for the parents who think that their kids are going to be interested. They all leave after the third or fourth inning because they can't because the kids are so distracted. I said, when I was 7 years old, my first game at Fenway, I didn't want to leave.
Yeah, but see, it's different now, Pete. The parents wanted those bouncy houses. I remember a long time ago when I went to a game at Comerica Park in Detroit, and they had all the extra things going on. They had the bouncy houses back then. They had the games for the kids. The parents are the ones who demanded that because they said, hey, look, I got a 6 and a 7-year-old and an 8-year-old here who's squirrely as shit. I can't do anything with them, for crying out loud. I got to do something to keep them busy. So the ballparks then went ahead and put those there for the parents. Parents said, hey, great, I can bring my kids and I can make them busy. So if we're going to blame anybody for that, Pete, how about the parents who don't, and look, oh Christ, I can hear the tuning up now from parents out there. But you got to teach your kid the game. You got to put your kid in the game. You got to get him involved instead of taking him out to the bouncy houses out there.
And
Yes?
stop bringing your infant child that's strapped to you like a little papoose and diving for
Okay.
fly balls when trying to kill. So you're going to kill your family for a stupid $5 baseball.
See, there it is, George.
But
And I think that's a good point, too. Get your kids, if you really want baseball for your kids, get them interested in the game. Stop trying to find a secondary issue for them to get involved in.
frankly, I think it's a losing cause. I agree with you. It's kind of they know their role. I don't think there's going to be there might be a minor uptick, Ed, but there's not going to be anything major
No magic.
dynamic shift. So forget about it. So kind of know your role, stay in there, do the best you can, but this isn't going to change.
Yeah, it's not going to change, and it's not going to make them the national pastime anymore. But again, for everybody who hammers me on social media and says, "Hey Ed, say something nice about baseball," we just did.
You got a lot of teams. Most of the teams are still in it. That's all you can ask for at this time of year. Most of the teams are still in it. It's great parity on the whole. I mean, maybe the Braves and the Rays are a little bit ahead of everybody else. But look, as Bill Parcells once said, just get in the tournament, and who the hell knows? Anything can happen. Just get in there.